What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and here we are again. Another FA Cup tie against the championship side where we were embarrassing for a large chunk of that game. First of all, I do want to say I don't know who the commentary team was on ESPN, but man, do they not know Chelsea at all. Because the entirety of the first half, up until the second goal, all they could say was, "Oh, Chelsea, if they get that one more goal, this tie is done. It's over. Leicester, they have no chance of coming back." All I'm thinking is, have you not seen us play recently? We've conceded in the past 10 games now. Four, it's kind of weird. Four against Wolves, four against Liverpool, and then we conceded one goal 4 games in a row. And then now we've conceded 2 goals 4 games in a row. One of those games was against another championship side. Do you not know Chelsea? Do you not realize how defensively weak we are right now? So for them to keep saying that, oh, just one more goal and that's all they need and this tie's over. You clearly do not realize how Chelsea have been this season. You're still thinking of us in our Abramovich era. We're in the Boehly era now, where championship sides have a chance to beat us. But anyways, so overall, a very frustrating game. A very disappointing, embarrassing performance. And a lot of that does come from, in my opinion, Pochettino again. Because we're still going with that same style, even after, we're 2 goals up, where we still play these risky passes in the back. I don't know why. I don't know why we continue to do that, especially when Sanchez is on the pitch. It's shocking to me that he has given up 2 goals from bad passes before. And yet we persist with it. We act like, that didn't happen. Keep trying, guys. And I mean, no goals came from his bad passes today, but there was several moments where he dawdles on the ball for like 5 seconds with a player bearing down on him. One time, player manages to poke it off of him, goes out for a goal kick, thankfully. I mean, we kept trying it. And Disasi, Chalobah, neither of them are ball-playing defenders, in my opinion. Neither of them need to be knocking it around the back like we're Barcelona in tiki-taka prime Guardiola era. Like, we keep acting like we have these players, and we don't. We don't have players that have the capability of keeping possession under high pressure. Occasionally they do. It's weird when it does happen, when all of a sudden we are knocking it around like we are Barcelona. It's very rare when that happens. And even when it does, it won't happen the next time. I guarantee it. And that one time it doesn't happen, the confidence you could just see drains out of this team. As soon as Disasi scored that own goal, the confidence was gone. Leicester were all over us. We couldn't keep possession to save our lives. It was constant barrage because we kept trying to play that same way, and Leicester kept stepping up, and we kept playing right into their hands, and it was just a matter of time before that equalizer came. And then it took 2 individual moments of brilliance for us to get anything out of this match. One from Palmer, one from Madueke, which, I mean, he's making it a habit of turning on the brilliance against championship sides, so kind of shows where he needs to be playing right now. But it's not good enough. From Pochettino, it is not. We already saw the Chelsea fans' reactions today. How they reacted to his decisions in the second half. When you're taking off Mudryk over Sterling. You don't know what you're doing. The fans said it, and it's true. You don't know what you're doing. The way he had the team lined up to begin with, you've got 2 wings on the pitch. You've got Mudryk, you've got Sterling. Where are they playing? In the center. We were so narrow. They kept pushing inside. Mudryk was more of a number 10. Sterling was kind of floating back and forth between on the left side and then the middle and the left and the middle. Like, he kept going back and forth. And then Palmer was just sort of hindered out on the right. Why? You've got, in my opinion, the best number 10 of the club, Palmer, playing out on the wing. And then you got your 2 wing players constantly stepping inside. Mudryk, he couldn't do anything with that. He's not an inside player. He was probably the hardest worker of that 3 in behind the striker. But he's not effective when you bring him inside. So why would you do that? And then the back 4, I mean, it's the same back 4 that conceded 2 easy ones. And when I say easy, I realize Murphy's goal was a well-placed one. But it's still easy the way he got in behind us. And Isak's goal was just a joke. But it's the same back four. You've got Chilwell. I know you don't want to risk him because of injury. I'll accept that one. You've got Silva back. Why not play an experienced head that can keep a little bit more calm and composure back there? Instead of Disasi and Chalobah, who can't keep a clean sheet to save their lives. So yeah, overall, just very disappointing match performance from the team. And it's one that we're seeing a lot more of these days. We're seeing a lot more of these performances that's not good enough. That's embarrassing. So, individuals, Sanchez, shouldn't even be playing for a club like Chelsea. He shouldn't be. He's not good enough. He's nowhere near good enough. He is... I can't even think of a good keeper to describe him, but he is just embarrassing to watch. And to play him in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, I don't care if it's against a championship side, it's embarrassing. You should not be resorting to your backup keeper at this stage in the FA Cup. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You should be playing to win at this point. And with that in mind, you should be playing your number one keeper. I know, people will say, well, Man City have the biggest depth of any Premier League side. We don't have that kind of depth. We have overpaid for a bunch of very average players. So our backup keeper is nowhere near the backup keeper level for Man City. So yeah, they can afford to do that. We can barely afford to do that whenever we're playing League 2 sides. In defense, Gusto on the right, again, going forward, he looked fine. His crosses today weren't on the same level as we've seen in the past few games. But going forward, he comes forward with a lot of energy. He bombs forward, gets down the line, looks good, looks threatening. But defensively, man, he's really fallen off from that. I think about the performance against Man City when he was up against Doku and how well he did to keep him basically completely silent throughout the entire match. That performance, not seen it since. Since then, defensively, he has dropped off, and today it was probably one of the worst ones. The amount of times he was caught out of position, the amount of times he was easily beaten to the ball. The second goal, all you got to do is show him down the line. He pulled a Colwill, is what he did, because it was just too easy to cut inside him and have a shot, because it goes diving in. So he's quickly becoming a very useless, a Trent Alexander-Arnold. Decent going forward. Of course, Alexander-Arnold is really good going forward, but defensively, really lacking and way too easily beaten. Disasi, that's probably one of the low points of his career, the own goal. But, it's not out of the realm of possibility for him. He has these up and down moments throughout a match where sometimes he'll be phenomenal. He'll look great. He'll have these great defensive blocks. And then sometimes he's kind of just flying out there with no sense of what he's doing, no real awareness of his surroundings. And it's like his focus is just gone for that moment on the pitch. He has that in his locker. He has that in his capabilities to lose focus so completely that he's going to volley a shot back at the goal when Sanchez is out at the top of the box. He's capable of that. So, again, I've said it before. I don't think he should be starting. But unfortunately, we don't have any other options because our starters are all injured, because we picked the weakest players physically that are available to us, I guess. The most injury-prone players I've ever seen. Chalobah on the left side, nothing terrible from him today, but yeah, it was still a little too weak at times. Still some moments where it feels like he's not quite reading the situation quick enough. He's a little off the pace. I don't know. He's not playing poorly at the moment, but he's also not playing super well. I want this standard from our defenders, and this is kind of the standard that we've set, and he's playing at this standard. He looks okay, but he's not playing the level we need him to play. So it's kind of where he is. Cucurella, very brave defender, kind of naive though. And it's one of those things where today it worked fine. Him flying out and basically trying to take out the ball and the player in the same challenge. He does it all the time. We saw him do it against Newcastle. And sometimes it worked. Sometimes it put the player off. Sometimes he made them make a mistake. Sometimes Murphy turns him and then goes and blasts home a goal that makes it nervy for the final few minutes. That's kind of what he is. He'll always come flying out. He has a lot of energy. He's busting it up and down the line, but he's very naive. He's very I don't I mean naive is kind of the best term I can use because he doesn't have a sense of when to go out and close down instead of going flying in and I'm gonna win this ball. Oh, he's past me. It happens too often, and that's why I don't trust him as a defender. Now, as a wing back, might be a bit better. I mean, this is the first goal he's scored, but he does tend to come down this left side, kind of same as Gusto. A lot of energy, gets into that space, provides an option out there for us. He'll do that, but the problem is we can't have wing backs whenever we only have a two-back system. If you're going to play with wing backs, you need to have three back there, or at least have a center defensive mid who can function as a third center back. Caicedo is not that. So we shouldn't be playing with this level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Attacking aggression, throwing our fullbacks into the attack like they're wingbacks. We shouldn't be playing with that because we don't have the capabilities of stopping a counter in situations like this, and yet we still do it. So it's almost kind of an overall tactical naivete from Pochettino, from the players, how we set up, how we play. It leaves us very, very open, and better teams are going to exploit those openings than what Leicester did today. In the midfield, we had Caicedo and Gallagher, no Enzo because he was suspended. Caicedo about the same, probably a little bit better than normal for him, but his standard has kind of been down here for most of the season, so his better than normal is like just below the standard of a good Premier League side. So yeah, he played about as good as he would for a mid-table side, and that's why we're kind of there right now. That's why we are a mid-table side, because we have players like Caicedo that are mid-table Premier League side players. At his best, he's going in, winning some challenges, but also jogging back, also defending from behind, not goal side of a player, also not closing down. When Gusto gets cut inside, he should be the one that's stepping in, but instead he's not there, and he just kind of, oh no, let me get out of the way of the shot. Like, there's so many moments in his game where I can't believe we paid as much as we did for him. If we paid like 25 million for him, I could see that. He's got enough quality to be a 25 million pound player. We paid over 100 for this. I'm gonna jog. I'm just gonna jog around the field. I'm gonna jog. Oh no, I gotta run now. I'll give it like 75%, and I won't. I'll get beat by this championship level player, but I'm gonna try about 75%, and he beat me, and thank goodness the cross went out of bounds. Whew. Well, at least I was there. At least I was standing close to him whenever he did that, so I gave a good enough effort, right? It's getting to the point where I don't understand. I don't understand what the scouting team, what the transfer people, what everybody saw in him that made him worth that much. Why was Liverpool about to sign him? Now, granted, Klopp might have gotten the best out of him. Klopp might have gotten him to perform at the top of his game. Maybe then he would be worth that much. But Pochettino's definitely not found the answer. He's definitely not found the key that's made him a quality midfield player. Because he's just been lazing through most of the matches. And it's embarrassing to watch. So I don't know what it's going to take, because at this point I think Fernandez and Gallagher make a better midfield pair than Caicedo and Fernandez. But with that being said, all three of them play. So I don't know what it's going to take to get Caicedo out of that midfield. Maybe Lavia needs to return soon. But then again, if he does, who knows how long we'll have him before he gets injured again, because clearly he's another injury-prone player. Ugochukwu is nowhere near ready enough, so we don't have the options to get Caicedo out of that midfield. So until we do, this is about the level of play that I'm going to expect. So Gallagher on the other side of things looked pretty good. There's still, it's funny because my dad had mentioned earlier today, there's still talk about us selling him, and it is crazy to think. It's crazy to think that we're actually looking to get rid of him. But that's what the club has done. That's the financial situation that Boehly has put us into, and his whole backroom staff and everything they're doing. We feel like we have to sell this player because, oh well, he's profit. So it's the way the club's being run now is just absolutely insane, and we are nowhere near the levels that we were under Abramovich. So I guess the FA is happy because they got their wish of getting Abramovich out and getting Chelsea to be a lower side. But it's frustrating that this guy comes in with all of this money and we're thinking, okay, well, good. We haven't really lost anything financially, but we have. We've brought in a guy that doesn't know how to run a football club, that's brought in people who don't know how to do their jobs in a football club, and it just shows. And if we lose Gallagher as well, there's a pretty good chance that we're going to drop off completely because he's one of the last remaining workhorses that we have at the club that has some quality to him. As far as the three and behind the striker, Sterling, I mean, not good. I don't think I need to say this because everybody should know. You miss a penalty, you miss all the clear-cut chances that he had. You take a free kick right outside the box and put it out of the stadium. I mean, you have that type of game. It doesn't need to be said that you had a poor game. My problem is that he continues to play. And here's the thing. What it really made me think of is Rashford. Because when Rashford is at the top of his game, he's had a few this season where he's played well. He looks phenomenal. But the problem is he's had a few. He's not been playing well consistently. Sterling is in the same boat. He's not been playing well consistently, but he continues to start. He continues to get game time. And yeah, when he's at the top of his game, when he plays well, he looks like one of the best players on the pitch. He looks unplayable. Cool. How many games does he do in that, though? 1 out of 10, maybe. 1 out of 8. I'll be fair. 1 out of 8. Sounds about right. He's had about 4 good games when he played about 32 matches. I mean, that's not good enough. I don't understand why he continues to play if he's not going to play at the top of his capability every match. Or at least, give me 75% good performances. But no, it's well below that. It's well below 20% of the games he plays well. It's so unlikely to see him play at the top of his game. And not every performance is this bad, but he's had some of these performances too. He's had some of these performances where he's missed clear-cut chances. He's been ineffective in front of goal. His overall play has been poor. He's been completely non-existent on the pitch. He's had these performances. He's probably had just as many of these performances as he has good performances. And yet he starts almost every match. Why? I don't think Madueke necessarily deserves to start over him. I don't necessarily think Mudryk deserves to start over him. But why are we not giving chances to some other guys? Why are we not trying something else? So that way these guys feel like they actually have to give it a go. They feel like they actually have to work themselves. Because Sterling is one of I think the biggest... what's the word I'm looking for? He's the biggest example of a player who doesn't look like they need to try to play. He looks like he doesn't need to put forth effort to play. I know that sounds ridiculous. I know some people might say, oh, you don't know. But that's what it looks like sometimes when I watch him. The amount of times, I mean, there's so many moments in this game I can pick out where it looks like he just doesn't give a crap. He tries to drive through the defense early on. Ball gets poked off of him. It falls to Mudryk at the top of the box. And you would think, let me get out of the way. Let me move so that way I don't... But he was done. As soon as he lost the ball, that was it for him. He's like, well, I guess I'm done trying now. And the Mudryk shoots, and he's still in the way because he hasn't moved since he lost the ball. And then you've got the moment where gets taken down for a penalty, which, to be honest, he's lucky. It was a penalty, it was a foul, but he wasn't ready for that shot at all. His first touch was terrible, and he gets lucky because the defender comes over and clatters him. but he had wasted that chance, that clear-cut chance, with a bad touch. So then he gets clattered. He goes to take the penalty himself. I don't know why Palmer's not the one taking it. And then takes the worst penalty I've seen in years from our club. And we've had some bad penalties. This was terrible. I mean, just... And then from that, you have another moment. He's sent through by Caicedo, one of Caicedo's few good moments, and he doesn't even put it on target. Like, it's one thing if you hit the keeper. At that point, I'm like, okay, it was on target. You need to do better, but at least you put it straight at the, on target. Straight on target. It just was too straight and it hit the keeper. You were trying something. Maybe you were trying to make. Maybe you just didn't get it around him enough. But to miss the target by as much as he did as well, that's just, in my opinion, these guys are good enough, they are quality enough, they should be able to pass it around the keeper. If they don't, it's because they're lazy. They've had a lazy shot at it. Let me just kind of, put my foot... You put your foot all the way through it and it goes wide of the target. And then after all of this, you've had all these bad moments. You got the assist. Okay, you've made up for that one miss at least, but we need more from you. We need to put this game to bed. We need to put... And then Jackson gets fouled. At this point, I think it's 2-2. Jackson gets fouled right outside the box, red card. We have a good opportunity. This is a good free kick position. It's right in the center of the goal. It's just outside the box. You just got to put it up and over the wall. And he puts it in row Z. There's no excuse. And then Mudryk comes off the field. There's no excuses. There's no excuses for him. But I guarantee he's going to start the next match. Because Pochettino's too scared to bench him. And it's not going to help us. Maybe he'll turn in a good performance 3 games down the line. Doesn't matter. We need a good performance every match. So trusting in him, putting your faith in him, that doesn't help us if he's not going to reward that faith with good performances. And that's where I get frustrated with these, you don't want to bench him and then really destroy his confidence. Why? If I don't bench him and then he continues to put in bad performances, what am I being rewarded with? Why am I putting my faith in this player if he's not going to reward that faith with good performances? That's what gets me so frustrated with some of these people that want to defend the players. And be like, no, don't bench him. You need to keep trusting him and it'll come good eventually. Eventually you'll get to that point. We can't rely on eventually. Because there's no guarantee that eventually will ever come. He'll have that one good performance and I'll be like, see, this is why you're trusting the player. And then the next match he'll be back to his horrible self again. So I don't put my stock in that. I have not seen enough from these players specifically. There are some players, their managers put their faith in them. And, Trippier with Newcastle, everybody thought he was gone. But Eddie Howe stuck with him, and he's actually put in good performances since he had that string of terrible performances. But he's stepped it up. And he's a quality enough player that I think, I could see a player like him going through a bit of a rut, but eventually coming out on top. Jackson, I think, is another player. We've stuck with him. We decided to loan Broy out, and I think he's starting to come good. I think we're finally starting to see his potential. But Sterling, he's been like this throughout his entire career. He's had his performances where he's phenomenal. You think he's on top of the world, but then all of a sudden he'll disappear. He did it for Liverpool. He did it for Man City. Like, he was never a consistent player, and yet we keep giving him time. And he does not have the same ability that we saw at Liverpool and Man City at this point. He looks a lot slower. He looks a lot less confident in himself. He looks a shadow of his former self, and yet we continue to play him as if, it'll get better eventually. So that's my Sterling rant for this one. Mudryk, like I said, I thought he was hindered today by having to play inside. I think his best play comes when he's out on the wing, driving down the line, taking on players, going into space, and then crossing it in. Today, he's driving down the middle. There's no space to run into. He's running into a brick wall of a defense. And his passing in the final third is pretty poor. So he gets there, and he has to make a decision on who to play to, and I don't think he's got the quality and the decision making to do that. So he ends up giving it away most of the time, or putting in a bad pass that now somebody has to try to control, or it's behind him and they have to cut back. So yeah, playing him inside was not the move today, and I think he was hindered by it. I think his overall play was still good enough. His work rate was good enough, but his end product is where it really suffered not having him out on the wing today. Palmer had one of his poor games. I mean, still got a goal, thankfully, but yeah, just did not see enough from him today. It felt like he was well off the pace of the match. Don't know why, but he's had some games like this, similar to when we faced Middlesbrough at Middlesbrough. This was another one of those performances where he just was not really involved most of the game. And the few moments where he was, it kind of felt like he didn't have a whole lot of ideas today. It was let me cut inside and then kick it into this defender. So, yeah, definitely not a good performance from him today. And then Jackson, overall pretty good. Second half was bad though. I thought, because first half he was absolutely tearing it up. I mean, first goal, all him. Great run in behind the defender, taking him on, getting pulled back, but fighting through it, and then finding Cucurella on the other side of the goal wide open. I mean, great performance in the first half. Second half, until the red card, didn't see anything from him. I mean, so many moments where it felt like he was slow, he was lackadaisical on the ball. It felt like his passes were very poor. And I don't know where that comes from, but man, he just really dropped off in the second half. And then he has that one great moment that leads to a red card, and that's kind of it that I can remember in the second half. So I don't know. I don't know what happened at halftime. I don't know if they fed him like a 3-course meal and he got all bloated and feeling all fat and I can't run now. But it looked really bad in the second half. As far as the subs that came on, Chukwuemeka, I mean, obviously scored a great goal, helped by Palmer, of course, with one of his few individual brilliance moments. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I don't know why we're not seeing more cameo appearances from him as he returns from injury. He looked pretty solid at the beginning of the season before he got hurt. So why are we not trying to integrate him back into this team where we've got Sterling, who's inconsistent, Madueke, who's inconsistent, and Mudryk, who is really only useful whenever we're playing a team that are going to be stepping out. We've got 3 players right there that are not going to be effective in every single game. Chukwuemeka has that potential. Now, will he actually be? I don't know. But until we see more of him, it's kind of hard to make that judgment call. But we're not seeing enough of him to really know for sure. So I hope, with this goal, I'm hoping that means Pochettino will start giving him more time and trusting in him more. Because he's a player that, from what little bit I've seen this season, I think he's one of our more exciting, more energetic players up front. We just need more time from him to see if he's really going to fit into the system and how well he'll do going forward. Madueke was the other next sub to come on. And yeah, I mean, it's typical of him. He comes on against championship side, moment of individual brilliance. I mean, it was a great run and a good goal. Problem is he's not going to have this against Premier League sides. He's not going to be going up against players of this quality in the Premier League. So it's one of those, people will be raving about him now. I guarantee he's going to go out in the next match and do absolutely nothing. Like, he's not got enough quality, in my opinion, to really cut it in the Premier League. So I think a championship loan would be phenomenal for him for next season. Let him go to a championship side, play well, score a lot of goals, look phenomenal at the championship level, and then sell him for probably a little bit more than we brought him in for. Because he's not got the quality to play at this level that we saw today for his little cameo appearance. He doesn't have the quality to play against better players and be effective like this. So I know some people disagree. Some people think he's the next big thing. I don't think you're really watching him play then. You're watching his highlight reel. You're not watching his overall performance. He's another Barkley in that sense. And then the last sub was Chilwell, and he just came on to provide a little bit more quality than Cucurella. I mean, returning from injury again, so I'm sure it'll be a little bit of time before we see a full performance for him. But yeah, he's one that I'm just kind of sick of. You come in, you play well, you get injured. Come back, You take a few games, you're playing well, you get injured. It's kind of been that throughout most of his Chelsea career. So I'm just kind of at that point where I'm kind of done with that. I want a player that's going to be here and play for more than 5 to 10 games at a time before he's out for 5 to 10 games. But anyways, with all that being said, I mean, that's kind of my overall thoughts. Some people will be, oh, I'll be happy we're in the semifinal. We're facing Man City. We can't play like this against Man City and expect to get the win. Like, there's no way. We're not playing well enough consistently to expect that we're going to beat Man City in the semis. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that at least Liverpool's out now because, yeah, I didn't want them to get a chance to win the FA Cup, but at this point, I think Man City have to be the favorites. I mean, we don't have the quality and the consistency right now to expect a good performance. We've somehow managed to draw them twice this season in the league, but there's no guarantee that we're going to play that well again in the semifinals. So, all that being said, that's it for me. So let me just know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game today? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace out.